Well, the simplest thing would be to get the government out of it.
Okay.
You know, I just don't think government should have a role in education at all. I think we would get much better education from the private sector than we get from the government. A competitive free market in education would mean higher quality and lower cost. And, you know, private businesses can compete for education money. You know, there's nothing that says they can't do that. And the idea that, well, you know, we're getting it for free because we're getting it from the government, it's not free at all. It's extremely expensive. If you look at how much the government pays per pupil, it's astronomical. We would all save a lot of money collectively if we paid for education instead of getting it for free from the government. It would be a lot less expensive. The teachers are extremely biased in their views of capitalism. I mean, teachers don't make a lot of money. I mean, they make okay money for what they do, especially on an hourly basis. And teachers, you know, enjoy a lot of leisure. They have a lot of time off that most people don't get. They have, you know, long vacations, especially over the summertime. So, you know, they're decent jobs being a teacher. There's also a lot of personal satisfaction that you can derive out of, you know, being a teacher versus a lot of other occupations, you know, that are a lot more mundane. And so you don't necessarily enjoy the work as much as, you know, most teachers should enjoy, you know, what they're doing. But, you know, I think a lot of teachers are very envious and very resentful of the fact that they're not millionaires and billionaires. And so I think they impart that on their students. They have a very biased, very left, you know, leaning worldview. You know, they don't like capitalism because they think capitalism undervalues what they're doing. They all think that they should be paid more than they are. And they're envious of people who they think are less deserving, but who have a lot more money. So I think, you know, people, you know, when you're exposed to that constantly, when all of your teachers think a certain way, right? When they're all very socialist minded and they don't believe in free enterprise, individual liberty or capitalism or really any of the founding principles of this country, you know, that's going to, you know, have a big influence on all the kids that are going through the U.S. school system, you know, their entire lives. And so we're graduating a bunch of socialists. But, you know, part of the problem, of course, is the phony economy that's been created here in the U.S., you know, artificially low interest rates, quantitative easing, this whole consumer debt-financed bubble economy that we have is a reason that we haven't created more affluence among, you know, average Americans. And we've been able to, you know, widen the divide between the very rich and everybody else. And that, of course, breeds additional resentment.
Right.
So why do they have to learn at home from their local school? Why can't it be in another state or another country, wherever they can get the best education? But, you know, the problem with teachers, it's not that they're underpaid. I mean, the vast majority of teachers are overpaid. That is the problem. The bad ones are overpaid. The good ones are probably underpaid. But the way the unions have everything structured, it's all designed, you know, for the lowest common denominator.
Right.
So, you know, you don't get paid more if you're a better teacher. They don't want that. They don't want merit type pay. They want everybody to be paid the same. The only variable is seniority, like how long you've been a teacher, not whether or not you're any good at it, just how many years you've been paying dues to the union, right? So the longer you've been there. And then often what happens is, you know, when you have to let go of some teachers, you have to let go of the ones that you just hired, even if they're a lot better than the ones that have been there for longer. You know,
right.
you're making decisions on seniority, not quality. And you know, seniority should not be the factor. You know, you want the best teachers.
Yeah.
And the best teachers need to be paid more, just like in, you know, any other occupation, right? The better you are, the more you get paid. Why should teaching be different? Why should, you know, no matter how bad you are, you're going to get paid as, you know, as well as, you know, the people who are, you know, bending over backwards to go the extra mile and do a better job, because then you even disincentivize the good teachers. Hey, why am I, you know, breaking my back to be good? I'm not having any extra income to show for it. So, you destroy the motivation. Nobody is incentivized to do good, and no one is penalized for doing bad.
Right.
So we have, a bad, school system where, if we had a free market, it would be completely different. I don't already know. I mean, we got a big jump in the CPI. It was 0.9%. I think they were looking for 0.6, which is a big number in and of itself, except the actual number was 50% greater than that. I think if you annualize the first 10 months of 2021, you're almost at 7% CPI. But even that really doesn't tell the whole story, because the CPI itself understates what's going on with prices. Just rents are an obvious and glaring example where rents are up maybe 12% on the year, yet owner's equivalent rent is up 3% or something like that. But you can't actually pay owner's equivalent rent. You actually have to pay the real rent, but that's a third of the CPI, and it's a completely made up number, and it's much lower than actual rents. And of course, if you look at home prices, they're up like 20%, on the year. So that's even worse. I mean, if you're buying a house, you're looking at even bigger price increases than if you're just renting. But all the costs associated with home ownership or home rental have gone up. Your electric bill has gone up, right? All the various maintenance, your insurance, taxes, everything is going up. And I think in general faster than the 7% that is being reflected in the CPI. So, I think if we still had the CPI that we had during the 1970s, if we were measuring the prices today using the same CPI that they used to measure them back in the 1970s, we would be well into the double digits right now. Okay. In fact, 2021 could be as bad, if not worse, than any individual year of that decade.